Lab-made chicken reaches select diners in Singapore. Singapore regulators in December authorized in vitro cultured hen, giving the world's lab-developed meat industry its official business begin. The firm behind the poultry product, Eat Just, has since offered tons of servings of the poultry to 1880, a membership in Singapore, and plans to broaden to different eating places on the island nation this year. The Singapore Food Agency's resolution marks the world's first business approval of cultured, or cell-based, meat. It's really exciting, says Elizabeth Durbase, Affiliate Director of Regulatory Affairs on the Good Food Institute, GFI, an industry group that helps meet alternate options. It's an incredibly auspicious sign that these products are not just technologically feasible at the bench research stage, but feasible as a scaled product. Cultured meats are grown in bioreactors and supply a substitute for elevating and slaughtering reside animals. The course begins with a small variety of cells sourced from donor animals or cell banks. Researchers then generate cell traces which can be, hopefully, immortalized. The cells proliferate in a progress medium that sometimes consists of amino acids, sugars, fat, salts, pH buffers and signaling molecules to encourage cells to proliferate. One of the largest technical challenges has been to scale up manufacturing in an economically viable manner. When I started the company, that was probably my biggest technical blind spot, says Josh Tetrick, co-founder and CEO of Eat Just in San Francisco. I thought, if you could figure out a way to do something in a lab environment, it wouldn't be much of a reach to do it in a much larger commercial environment. That was very wrong. The physics of doing something in a larger environment changes how these elements are interacting. Eat Just's 1,000-liter facility will crank out hundreds of kilos of product in 2021, Tetrick says. But the corporate might want to enhance that capability to north of 50,000 liters, to make a revenue, which Tetrick estimates will take another 3 to 6 years. For now, Eat Just takes a loss on the product, pricing it on par with natural hen. Eat Just additionally seeks to deal with one other industry-wide problem: discovering a scaffold that may give a texture just like that of meat. At the second, the corporate's cultured hen comes out like minced meat. New approaches are wanted to approximate the feel and style expertise of a hen breast or a fat marbled steak. One of those is to stick cells to a substrate or scaffold that's both edible or eliminated earlier than serving. Tetrick says scaffolding will come later. We look at scaffolding as more of a phase 2 or 3, he says. The firm varieties the hen into nuggets and markets them as chicken bites, below the model title, Good Meat. About 70% of every hen chew consists of cultured cells. Proprietary plant proteins comprise the remainder, offering construction, breading and spices. It tastes identical to hen, Tetrick stories, not higher, not worse, simply hen. Concocting progress media with inexpensive substances usually stumps cultured meat builders too. Eat Just makes use of progress media that embody a small quantity of fetal bovine serum, from the blood of an unborn calf, which is pricey and antithetical to the mission of Eat Just and lots of cultured meat firms. Tetrick says his firm not too long ago discovered a substitute for animal serum, however should get regulatory approval for the change. In approving the hen, the Singapore Food Agency requested Eat Just for a breakdown of every step of its course of. That included a compositional evaluation of the media, an outline of the manufacturing course in the bioreactor, a step-by-step evaluation of how the classy cells are transformed to completed product, the dietary composition of the ultimate product, and a pathogen evaluation. It was just a really clear-eyed, straightforward, is this safe or not analysis, says Tetrick. Eat Just selected Singapore for its first product as a result of the regulatory course was simple, and since Singapore is a worldwide hub with sturdy mental property rights. If you're introducing a new kind of product, it's good to have that melting pot in a single place, Tetrick says. The regulatory course took about 2 years. Eat Just is one among a minimum of 80 firms working in the classy meat and seafood sector globally. Nearly half of these firms have been based in the previous 2 years, in keeping with knowledge gathered by GFI. 5 years ago, this was a tiny industry, says Durbase. The number of companies that are active in this space has really exploded. About a third of those firms specialize in one piece of the technical course resembling optimizing tradition media, creating scaffolds, constructing bioreactors, or laptop modeling. Matrix Meats, for instance, develops nanofiber scaffolds. Newcastle, UK-based Cellular Evolution makes bioreactors for steady cell tradition. Aleph Farms in Rehovot, Israel mentioned in February that it had used three-dimensional bioprinting to supply a rib-eye steak. The upswell in business curiosity follows a confluence of technical advances in cell tradition, data-rich insights into cell metabolism and signaling, and the success of serum-free media, says Liz Specht, Director of Science and Expertise at GFI. And when two firms, Memphis Meats and Moza Meat, every raised significant collection of funding in 2017 and 2018, respectively, that really opened the floodgate for brand spanking new startups, she says. Last year Memphis Meats introduced that it had raised one other $186 million. The Berkeley, California-based firm is constructing a pilot plant anticipated to be operational by the tip of 2021, in keeping with Eric Schultz, VP of Product and Regulation on the firm. Schultz wouldn't disclose the capability of the plant, however famous. Many companies have had the capacity to supply a single restaurant for a while. The goal is to get beyond that in terms of scale. Moza Meat, in Maastricht, the Netherlands, adopted in December, elevating one other $75 million and asserting plans to construct an industrial-sized manufacturing line. With this a lot curiosity from startups and buyers, regulators are certain to see a number of purposes for approval in 2021. Many areas, together with the European Union, Canada, Australia, New Zealand and Israel, have novel meals regulation already on the books that may probably cowl cultured meat, says Durbase. Since October, Tel Aviv-based Tremendous Meat has been serving free meals from its factory-side restaurant, The Chicken, a technique to get its lab-grown hen out to the general public earlier than an official inexperienced mild from regulators. In Japan, it might already be doable to promote cultivated meat, relying on how one interprets present legal guidelines. However, Japanese authorities are contemplating creating a regulatory framework, in keeping with the GFI. In the United States, the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, and the Department of Agriculture, USDA, will break up jurisdiction over cultured meat, in keeping with a 2019 announcement from the companies. The FDA will oversee security by the harvest section of manufacturing, and the USDA will oversee additional processing and labeling of cultivated meat and poultry. The data that's being asked for by the FDA are the same information that we use for any cultured or fermented food product right now, says Schultz at Memphis Meats, who's a former novel meals regulator for the FDA. This consists of oversight of cell assortment and banking, an analysis of the substances that go into the product, such because the parts of the media, an analysis of the completed product, a dietary evaluation, and evaluation of any hazards which may be current in the manufacturing course of, he says. But though there may be readability on jurisdiction of U.S. regulators, there's nonetheless a lot to be fleshed out, says Tetrick. His firm has been in dialogue with the FDA for about the identical period of time it has been working with Singapore, he says. Schultz, nonetheless, says the FDA's guidelines are adequate. The pathway is established for these products, and it's now incumbent upon the industry and the regulators to work together to affirm the safety of their products using risk-based methods, he says. As the classy meat industry pushes ahead, some researchers are additionally attempting to determine whether or not the hassle will quantity to any good for the atmosphere. To that finish, the U.S. National Science Foundation awarded in September $3.5 million to a consortium on the University of California, Davis. The group will analyze the environmental piece and attempt to tackle the industry's most important technical challenges. I don't think there's enough information out there yet to really say for sure that yes, this is clear-cut, a more sustainable way of producing meat, says David Block, a chemical engineer at Davis who's maintained the hassle. But it seems that way on the surface. GFI not too long ago introduced the outcomes of an environmental evaluation evaluating beef, pork and hen made conventionally versus in a bioreactor. The outcomes have been favorable. For instance, the institute discovered that making cultivated meat with typical power contributes 55% much less to international warming and makes use of 94% much less land than elevating livestock. For some folks, like Tetrick, eliminating the slaughter of animals is motive sufficient to press on. I don't think we need to kill another animal to have dinner with our friends and family, he says.